Learn English easily. John and the Bullies. John was a young boy with brown hair and bright eyes. He and his family moved to a new town because his mom and dad got new jobs. This meant John had to go to a new school. He was a little bit scared because everything was new to him. But he was also excited because he could make new friends. On his first day at the new school, John picked his favorite blue shirt to wear. His mom helped him button it up. He also wore his comfortable jeans and his white shoes. In his backpack, he packed all his books, some pencils, and a picture of his old friends. He wanted to keep them close to him. His mom made him a sandwich for lunch, and his dad drove him to school. John's heart was beating fast because he was both nervous and happy. When John walked into the school, he looked around, and everything was new to him. Everyone was looking at him because he was the new boy, and they didn't know him yet. He went to his classroom and found a desk at the back. He sat down and looked around. There were lots of new faces. Boys and girls were talking and laughing. John was quiet and a bit shy. He didn't know anyone, so he just looked at his books. But then, something happened that made John feel bad. 3 boys, who sat in front of him, turned around and looked at him. They started laughing at John's blue shirt. They pointed at him and said that his shirt was silly and looked like a baby's shirt. Jake, Max, and Sam were 3 boys in the school who were not very nice. They liked to make fun of other kids and act like they were in charge. They were the bullies at the school. Sometimes they would take things from other kids, like pencils or toys. Other times, they would laugh at how someone looked or what they were wearing. They thought they were funny, but the other kids were scared of them. John was a quiet boy, and he was very sad because of the bullies. He didn't know how to deal with them. He wanted to be friends with others, but he was afraid that the bullies would make fun of him or take his things. One day, John went home from school with tears in his eyes. He told his mom and dad about Jake, Max, and Sam. He told them how they were mean to him and how they made him feel bad. His parents were very worried. They hugged John and told him that they loved him. They told him to be strong and not to let the bullies get to him. They said that he should try to make friends with other kids, and maybe then he wouldn't feel so alone. The next day, John went to school, hoping that things would be different. But the bullies were mean to him again. This time, they took his lunch and laughed at his haircut. "Look at John's hair," Max shouted, and they all started laughing. John felt very bad. He didn't know what to do. He wanted to run away, but he knew that wouldn't solve anything. He felt so alone, and he wished that the bullies would just leave him alone. The rest of the day was hard for John. He didn't talk to anyone, and he kept thinking about what the bullies had done. He knew he needed to be strong, like his parents said, but it was very hard. John decided to talk to his teacher, Mrs. Johnson. She was very kind and listened to John's problem. Mrs. Peterson told John that he was brave for speaking up and that she would keep an eye on the bullies. But John wanted to do something himself. He wanted to show the bullies that he was not scared. He talked to some other kids in the class, and they said the bullies had been mean to them too. Together, they made a plan. They would all stand up to the bullies and show them that they were not afraid. They would also try to be nice to the bullies, to show them how to be kind. The next day, John was wearing his favorite shoes, but they were a little bit old and worn. He was still a little bit scared of the bullies, but he also felt a tiny bit of hope. As soon as he got to school, the bullies saw John's shoes. They started to make fun of him again. "Look at those old shoes," Jake yelled, pointing at John's feet. "Did you get them from the trash?" Max and Sam joined in, laughing and making fun of John's shoes. They thought it was funny, but John felt bad. But this time, something different happened. The other kids in the school started to speak up. "Stop that," one girl said, her face turning red. "That's not nice." "Yeah, why are you making fun of him?" another boy added. "You should be kind to people." The other kids were standing up for John. They were telling the bullies that what they were doing was wrong. Jake, Max, and Sam were surprised. They looked around and saw that all the other kids were looking at them. They were not laughing. They were not smiling. They were looking at the bullies with serious faces. The bullies started to feel a little bit bad. They looked at each other, and then they looked down at the ground. They stopped laughing, and they stopped making fun of John. John saw that the bullies were feeling bad. He walked up to them, his heart beating fast. He looked into their eyes and said, "We can all be friends if you want. But we have to be nice to each other." The bullies didn't say anything at first. They just looked at John. Then Jake finally spoke up. "Okay," he said, his voice very soft. "We'll try to be nice." The other kids started to smile. They were happy that the bullies were going to try to be nice. They clapped for John, and some of them even hugged him. John feels strong and proud, knowing that he stood up to the bullies and helped to make a change. John and the other kids helped them learn how to be kind. They played together at recess, shared their lunches, and helped each other with homework. John learned that standing up for what is right and being kind to others can make a big difference. His parents were very proud of him, and John was proud of himself too. He knew that he had done something very good, and he had made new friends that he would keep forever. And so John's new school became a place where everyone was kind to each other, all thanks to a little boy with a big heart and a blue shirt.